And there it is, a new weekly Bitcoin candle just forming. That means the last candle closing, a monumental candle, a weekly candle on the Bitcoin charts that I'm not going to talk too much about in this video, but we're going to use it as a foundational data point to discuss the coming bull market, how long the bull market might last, because I think that's actually, as we're heading into this next phase, this next era of the bull market, I think it's really important to start anticipating these things because time flies by so fast in general, but in crypto, the crypto charts, you'd be very surprised how quickly these cycles go when you really think about it. So hit the subscribe, hit the like, let's jump into the video. I want to start real quick on the daily just to point a couple things out, just a couple quick Bitcoin targets. Short to the midterm, we have a $70,000 target, right around $70,000, $85,000 target to the upside. And those are just these pretty big patterns that we've been tracking. A monumental, massive rising wedge. Monumental because this was the exit out of the bear market, Bitcoin breaking that upper trend line. And you can just see how long it takes to get to these targets. But target to the upside out of that trend, that higher high, higher low rising wedge is right around $70,000. Then we have this other very similar rising wedge. Higher highs, higher lows. Breakout. We just broke out not too long ago, end of February, and you can see target to the upside around $85,000. I talk about this a lot. Rising wedges, these higher high, higher low channels that form on Bitcoin, it is just so reminiscent of Bitcoin bull markets and Bitcoin bull environments. I talk about this a lot because a lot of times people see when there's these patterns forming, they look bearish, right? Because I think a lot of people tend to think that's a bearish thing, these rising channels. But in regards to Bitcoin, when it's in a bull and it's in a bull cycle, whether it's a longer term pattern, short term patterns, it's just what Bitcoin tends to do if you look back at historical evidence in terms of how price moves. So Bitcoin right now, those are some targets on the daily I wanted to throw out there. Could be choppy waters getting there, right? Maybe even revisiting this trend line of this wedge right at this area, the top of the bull market doors. There's a lot of confluence potentially in play, support down there in the 50s, $57,000 or so. But I want to zoom out. I want to go back to the weekly and really discuss what could possibly be in store. What's one, and this will be one case for this bull market. What could we anticipate? And as always is the case, I do want to explain really quickly, the bull market doors is a bull market high to a bear market low. It's a lower high Fibonacci resistance area. It's a key area that I watch for when Bitcoin really enters this parabolic phase of the Bitcoin bull run. So we see the weekly candle. We just got the weekly candle. This is one thing we were waiting for, a weekly candle closing above this bull market door area, the lower high Fibonacci. It happened. So the question is, well, how long, if Bitcoin's entering right now this parabolic bull phase, how long might it last? And that's really some data I want to dissect because, again, these cycles move so fast. So here's a very similar move in the last cycle. This is where we are this cycle around, Bitcoin closing its first weekly candle outside of those bull market doors. And look what Bitcoin did, right? That was post Bitcoin halving. And I think that's something we should take into consideration as we do kind of ponder about if the cycles repeats. If it repeats, and we're about to see an exact time frame of when this bull market will end, I think it's notable to remember throughout the video and throughout watching this and dissecting this data to remember that this cycle is the first time Bitcoin has broken this area before the Bitcoin halving. Every cycle has been after. So let's do this. I'm going to zoom out on the weekly, and what we're doing, just very simply, just to explain this, we're just going to look back from when Bitcoin made this bull market door, that first weekly candle closing above. We're going to look back at every cycle so far post these halvings. So this is going all the way back to this candle, this weekly candle right here in 2013, breaking, closing above the 2013 bull market doors. Because look at every time, Bitcoin went absolutely crazy. So what I just want to show you very simply is two things. I first just want to make a note of, if we look at the momentum of Bitcoin right now in the RSI, this is where we are in the RSI, right here, right around 85 or so. I marked with these lines in cycles past when Bitcoin was making the exact move it is right now, and that we're getting that first weekly candle closing above the bull market doors. I just noted on the chart where Bitcoin was on the RSI. So if we look at, here's the 2013 line. That's because if we go back to 2013, let me scroll all the way back, you can see Bitcoin, this is 2013, this is where Bitcoin was on the RSI. So in terms of Bitcoin being overbought in the RSI, and this is a reminder I just kind of keep reminding myself of even, it's not really a bad thing. This isn't an indicator saying, you know what, we're overbought, we're going back down, and price is going down with it. No. If we look at 2020, you know, this is the 2020 line. You can see back here very quickly, there's the 2020 bull market doors, or actually I think it might have been this move right here. RSI right around there, a little bit lower than where it is right now, but very similar area in terms of the RSI when those doors were broken. 2017, Bitcoin was overbought, but a little bit lower at that time. So right now, the move where Bitcoin is in the RSI, it's like the average of all three bull market door breaks that have historically happened. And now here we are in 2024, and we're getting this bull market door breaking right now. So that's the first thing I want to note. RSI looking healthy, looking normal, and looking right on track in terms of what it's done every cycle. Now let's talk about, the very big question: how long? How long? And it's such easy data to look at, all for me anyway. Just because this is one of my favorite indicators, bull market doors. So for me, it just makes sense to say, you know what, very simply, first week candle closing above the doors. How long did the bull market last until we got that high and we started going down, right? Same thing back here, 2017. How long until Bitcoin topped out? And I put it on the RSI momentum oscillator just to give you a sense of what it looks like. And this is what it is. Last cycle, from when the doors were broken to that final bull market high, we have, if you can see it there, 343 days. It lasted less than a year. Imagine that right now as I'm doing this video and I'm explaining this, because when I broke this down, it kind of hit me like, wait, what? It lasted less than a year. Every cycle, from this moment on, where we are right now, the bull market door is being broken, getting that weekly close above, it lasted less than a year. So if that repeats, and that's an if, this is one case, that means we have basically less than a year to figure out what we're going to do here. That's last cycle. The cycle before that, 301 days. And as I break this down, there might be a hidden hint that's good for us. That hints it might last longer. But cycle before that, 301 days. The 2017 Fibonacci being broken to the all-time high, and then entering the bear, 301 days. And then the cycle before that, 287 days. It only lasted 287 days. Only lasted 287 days, but mind you, if we look at the gains, you know, Bitcoin putting in 4,700% gains. That's not too bad. So I took the average of those and I said, okay, here we are right now. What's the average of those? 308 days. Imagine, just for a moment, and there's no guarantees, the way I'm doing this, the data has been consistent and it's been very helpful so far. Been doing these videos for over 6 years. If you've been watching, you know this has been very helpful for us. But if we're looking at this now, okay, 308 days? That's less than a year. It puts us basically, if I go back to this, the end of December 30th. What a way to end the year. And so for me, the first thing, as I'm just talking about and doing this video, the first thing for me is just kind of like, okay, if this is happening and we're entering this parabolic bull run right now, maybe it'll be more volatile, maybe whatever. It might act a little different, whatever. If it keeps going and if we start breaking all-time highs and we're in price discovery for Bitcoin and even other altcoins, if we have 308 days from basically right now, the question for me is, am I ready? Do I know my plan on the way up? Because that 300 days, I just know will go so fast. It's already March. December's right around the corner. It really is right around the corner. So that's the first thing for me. And then the second thing is this. What will it even look like, right? Because we have a lot of different things in play. And one of them is the supply shock happening with institutions coming on board, I think will eventually transfer to altcoins. I think there's going to be so many unbelievably bullish narratives for crypto in this environment that crypto's never been, right? So how will that make these charts first off react? And secondly, will Bitcoin abide by this historical consistency? Will it keep that going? And we only see a bull market for around 300 more days. That's kind of the first thing. But the second thing is this. If we look at this, because I hinted at this, if we actually look at the amount of days, 343 days, 301 days, 287 days, what do you notice? Every cycle, it has gotten longer. And I think that might be because the volatility of Bitcoin has lessened. So there's a case that the Bitcoin bull market might actually be, let's say, and if we look at this, it's like 20 or 30 days longer each time or so. So 343 days last cycle, we can take that to maybe 300. Let's take it to 370 days, or I'm sorry, not 370 days, but we want to take it to, 370 days, I think would be fair. 370 days right there. Now we're looking, now we have a year, right? Next March, 2025. At least we're in 2025 now. That gives us a little bit more time. So that could be what's playing out here on those charts, right? But 300 to 400 days, I think, is a good window for me in terms of how long is this going to last before we get a correction. And I think what I wanted to share with you, because now that I'm leading into that, what happens next, there's going to be probably many indicators we can look at in terms of finding the top and all that good stuff. That's one of them, right? The amount of days. And also what the momentum oscillator is doing. I mean, we had Bitcoin just in this bull market last cycle, and then the RSI was just falling the entire time. That's an indicator. But one thing that has happened every time is every time Bitcoin has really just said, you know what, it's time to enter the bear, Bitcoin has broken below on the weekly this 50-week moving average in blue. That was the indicator right there, that happening. And so that's what it looked like after the top of 2021. And then if we go to the cycle before that, check it out. Bitcoin obviously hit the all-time high and then just started falling, bounced off to 50. But there it is. There's a signal. It fell below the 50. That's a signal. Bitcoin kept falling into the bear. And then also go back to the cycle before that, 2014, 50-day moving average. Look at that red weekly candle just right through the 50-week moving average. And then that was it. Bitcoin just falling into the bear market. So that's one indicator. That's one macro indicator that has been very reliable in terms of just when's this over. So that's something to keep an eye on. Obviously, hopefully a long time out, maybe 300, 400 days. But this is pretty simple data, right, that I'm breaking down. And it's actually pretty clear and historically sound, it seems. But I want to just mention, it's only one perspective. I think I'll probably do other videos like this Bitcoin video where we're obviously playing out this case, this 300 to 400 day case from where we are now, this moment, the weekly close above the bull market doors. That's one case. There might be other cases that I think I want to cover. And they might have to do with the Bitcoin spot ETFs, institutions coming on board, the dynamics of the entire world changing from a macroeconomic perspective. How do these things tie into the demand for crypto? And also the lessening of the volatility. How does that play into how these bull markets operate and how the bear markets operate as well? So there's just some things I'll discuss, but this was a video I wanted to do because it was kind of a historic week. Bitcoin closing that weekly candle. We're in a new week now. We have some short to midterm targets, $70,000 and $85,000 for Bitcoin, but thought it would be a good idea to get just a first glimpse of what this bull market could look like. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below, everybody. I appreciate you watching. Appreciate all of you subscribers out there. If you're not a subscriber, make sure to subscribe. Turn notifications on because it's going to be a crazy bull market. Hit the like if you got any value or enjoyed this video. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.